this interview that I did with Dr. Jason Auerbach. He's also known as the bloody tooth guy, but he's a really good surgeon who is a triple threat where he's kind of mastered the economics of being a private practice doc. And then he has a very large social media following.
You're one of the OGs. How did this start and how did you continue to grow?
I was kind of at the right place at the right time. I started in February of 2015. You know, there's this person, Dr. Pimple Popper on Instagram, and she's got a fairly sizable audience. And maybe people care about seeing disgusting teeth as well. I have a friend who has a daughter who had a broken elephant. An elephant was her little stuffed animal. She called the animal Broken Tail Guy. So I took that and I said a bloody tooth guy. And I just put pictures of broken down bloody teeth.
You know, I was looking at the videos of you in the Bahamas, practicing and providing care and also educating. How does that work in terms of, is this your own type of mission trip that you're performing, or are you part of an organization? How did that start?
So the organization was started by a guy named Jonathan Levine, who's a dentist in Manhattan. It's called Glow Good Foundation. He and his wife and his kids, Lenny Kravitz's mother is from an island called Eleuthera, and Lenny was a friend and I guess I could say patient of Dr. Levine's. And so there was a discussion that was had probably 8 or 9 years ago about the fact that there was real need down there. So over the course of that amount of time, they've put in some infrastructure, buildings, of course, through donations and things like that. They've been able to provide care. I was fortunately invited to be involved in this organization and go on this mission. And I will tell you, it was kind of life changing and mind blowing. I mean, the fact is that the amount of need and the level of appreciation that these patients have, and frankly, the lack of access to quality care on a regular basis, based either on geography or lack of knowledge or financial or whatever it is, there's just a very significant gap. And to be able to fill a little bit of it is really, really rewarding. I mean, the children who were just so appreciative of what we were doing really was just, it was special. And
what example of the cases? What kind of cases are you doing? Are you doing mainly dentistry, or are you doing surgery also?
It definitely surgery. So the beauty of the beauty of this is it's multidisciplinary within dentistry. So you have oral maxillofacial surgeons. There's a lot of exodontia, broken down teeth and things like that. But there's also, myofascial infections and this kind of stuff, fascial space. Like there was no, you see it in the ER. There was no Ludwig's, but we had a pretty deep space infection that had to be drained. And frankly, that would have been drained in the US in an OR under anesthesia, extra orally with a drain and open up spaces and all that kind of stuff. But now it had to, the unfortunate reality is that some of the care is compromised.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's the best you can do. And again, they appreciate it. And I think there's opportunity for a full-time clinic in that area. And we had people who came over on boats from other islands that, I had never heard of. You may know of, I don't know. But forget people think you go to the Bahamas, you go to Nassau, it's
right.
Vacation.
It's just a vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a significant amount of underserved population throughout that area of the world. And many of them, I met a family, amazing, gorgeous, that saved 2 years to fly with the husband, it was the wife, and it was the baby daughter. And they came over, they spent 2-3 days. You got to wait online in the morning. Maybe you get seen, maybe you don't get seen, maybe you get seen the next day. And then there are people ultimately who have to be unfortunately turned away. But it's multidisciplinary surgery done by us. There are dentists, there are lab techs, so that if I take out a bunch of your teeth that are infected or bad or whatever, that you're not just going without. So they would 3D print because of a company that—
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, keep going, please.
So there was a company that that donated 3D printers. And as such, there were lab techs who were doing, so we would take the teeth out. They would take an immediate impression, digital impression, and then they would 3D print a denture. So the next day, these patients would receive dentures. And it was, to them, miraculous.
Right.
The technology really changes the game. There's so much opportunity to help at a relatively cost-effective number.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
thank God we live in a country where like there's access to capital, and as such, we can do things. I mean, we all. I mean, I'll speak for myself. Fortunately, I was able to take some time, donate my time. I work with a company. I make
How long are you off for?
it's a 2 week span. Most people
Hmm.
go for one half or the other half.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how it works. Some people stay the whole time. Um, some people just come for a day or two. It's really kind of whatever you can accommodate. But I work with a company called TBS Instruments, TBS Dental. I do surgical instrument design with them and production and all that. And they donated 10 surgical kits. That's a $15,000 donation to this organization of surgical instruments that are of the highest quality that are made in the world. And now they sit in this clinic that for anyone going forward to ever use, like that's great, right?
Right.
So that is also part of it, just kind of giving as much as we can. And we have vendors that work with us. I work with. I have, like I said, 22 offices that I'm involved with. So we have vendors that are willing to help, and that's really good.
What about the med students, or excuse me, the dental students that come? And I'm assuming you're taking dental residents also.
Yeah.
How does that work? Yeah.
So there are programs. There were three dental schools that were represented. And forgive me, one was NYU, one was Nova down in Florida, and I want to say one was BU, but I'm not 100% positive. And they're
Brown or Boston?
Boston University.
Okay, gotcha.
And so they basically sent down, groups of students who were like, senior students, so they had the ability to help. There were also dental hygienists there who were just doing cleanings
Hmm.
and intraoral exams and things like that. And everyone was learning from everybody, and it was a really, really special experience. There's a lot of camaraderie. um Let me keep it real for a second. The beauty is, so we're
We like it
staying,
real.
yeah, so we're staying at a hotel, which was a beautiful venue adjacent to this area. So Eleuthera is this very, very, very long but narrow island. Um, and so, I mean, we were just down the street and we were staying at this very, very nice but very seemingly unknown resort. And so Lenny's chef, or his people, he lives there, his chef was like cooking for us. So at the end of a working and seeing like 60 patients or whatever it would be, we'd go, we'd be taken care of, like, nice drinks,
Mhm.
good food, whatever it is. And so for me, as somewhat of a bougie guy, like I enjoyed helping, but also like enjoying myself. So that's me
Work hard, play
keeping
hard.
it real.
Absolutely.
It was really a wonderful experience, really, because of the kids mainly, that we were able to help adults as well, of course. But when you see a kid who's like deathly is afraid, I mean, these kids are scared. I'm this guy, I'm a pretty big, I'm 6'1", 225. Like I come in and I'm like a big dude that they don't know, like they think it's going to hurt. And then to kind of
Hmm.
turn them around so that they like are embracing you at the end, it is, it's,
That's
it's,
heartwarming.
it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.